Hi. When installing a recipe on an infusion brewer, if it doesn't work with your flash drive, you can install the recipes manually. Before you install recipes manually, you're going to have to calibrate the brewer. Before calibration, remove the funnel and the spray head and check for any corrosion. If there is corrosion, you can remove the gasket and split the two halves apart. After cleaning, be sure to put these two parts together. There are little notches on these to connect to create a tight seal, and then install the gasket back onto the spray head. These have to be clean before you do any sort of calibration on the brewer. Once cleaned, put in and one quick turn, and it locks it in place. Return to the brew basket, and then be sure to have your measurement cup ready as well. Place that under the brew basket. From here, you can go into the menus now to calibrate the unit. Hold down the dot to the right of the Bunn logo until you see recipes displayed. Press this button again until you see calibrations. Using the buttons on the bottom, you're going to press Brew B to select calibration. You're going to begin with showing you the current setting of your spray head. To change that, you would want to hit the button next to that to calibration. Once you're in spray head calibration, press Brew B, and then it's going to ask you for your container being ready. If it is ready and under the brew basket, you can hit Brew C, which is your yes button. Once you press agree to the calibration, you can press any of the brew buttons to start, and it will start your calibration process. Once the calibration for the spray head has been finished pouring into the bucket, you're going to look at your measurement cup and get an accurate reading from there. From here, it shows 38 ounces. So we're going to adjust our current ounces from 40 to 38. Once that's entered, then you're going to hit done. Now your new spray head has been set to 38 ounces. Empty the water, and next it's going to show you your bypass reading. This is just what your reading is. To make the calibrations, you're going to hit the top button next to the Bunn logo, and it's going to say bypass calibration. Press Brew B to select the calibration. If your water temp is too low, you're going to have to wait for it to increase, which can happen after calibrating a spray head. Wait till it increases to your ready temp. It will ask you if your container is ready. From here, you can hit yes, and then press any of the brew buttons to start. Once the bypass is finished filling the measurement cup, get a reading, and this one is set to 38. So we're going to go back to the machine, bring what our current setting is from 41 down to 38. Once that is in set, then you can hit done. And now our unit has been calibrated. Then you hit the button next to the Bunn logo until you get back to your ready to brew setting screen. Before you begin installing recipes onto your ICB brewer, infusion brewer, you want to be sure to have your new recipe guide, the current planogram for the recipe setup based on the store you are working at, as well as your programming recipe and assigning recipe manuals. To begin installing a recipe, you're going to want to hold down the hidden button until you see recipes. From here, you're going to press Brew button B to select the recipe. Then you want to review the recipes that are already on here. So you're going to select B as well. The first recipe that will show up will be no name. So you want to modify that first recipe to coincide with your planogram. So from here, you'd want to hit modify. And then beginning with the top button at the top, we're going to install our farmhouse single based on our planogram and our recipe guide. So our farmhouse single is going to be 109 ounces. So using brew A and brew C, we're going to decrease the amount to 109 ounces. Once that is set, you want to hit the middle button, and now we are going to install our farmhouse double. Here, you want to change that based on our recipe for our farmhouse double, which is going to be 202 ounces. So using brew C, we will increase that amount. Ounces. Next, you want to go to the bottom one, and we're going to disable this size completely. So to disable it, you want to hold brew A to bring whatever setting is on there all the way down to 0. This will shut that one button off and make it disabled for anybody to use. Once all three are inserted, confirm that they are correct, and then hit done. This is going to confirm that all 3 batches have been installed correctly. Then you're going to hit brew C to confirm that. Next, we're going to install our bypasses. So our bypass is going to be, for our top farmhouse single, is going to be 30%. So here it's already set to 30. There's no adjustment needed. And then we're going to move to the second one. Our second one for our farmhouse double should be increased to 33%. So we're going to use brew C to increase to 33%. Bottom one is going to stay at 0. There is nothing on there, so we'll keep that one completely disabled. Once they're all done, confirm that they are accurate, and then hit done. This is also going to confirm as well in the unit if they have been entered correctly. They are, hit yes. If there is any flavor that requires a pulse brew, which our farmhouse single does, want to be sure that that selection is selected on the side. So our farmhouse single is our top one, so we're going to install a pulse brew on this one. To install the pulse brew, we're going to press C, and then we're going to make sure manual is blinking. If manual is blinking, we're going to hit C again, and then we're going to install our first time. Our first time is going to be 40. Once that's been entered, we're going to hit done. Now it's going to look for our off time, where this is going to be 10. That's already set to 10, so we're going to hit done. And then our last on time is 5. This is already set to 5, so we will leave that at 5. This is going to confirm all 3 batches are done. Since on this one flavor, there's only one batch that requires a pulse brew, so we're going to leave it at that and confirm it that they have been done. Now we're going to install drip times. Drip times are set for 2 minutes for both. So our top is already set to 2 minutes, and our double is set to 2 minutes. So both of those are correct. Double check to make sure they are accurate if any adjustments were made, and then select done. Once all 3 batches are done, you're going to hit yes. These next menus don't mean anything. They're already preset based on factory settings and should not be changed. So just hit done, and then yes. Recipe set temp, hit done. Fresh hours, done. All 3 batches, correct. Now our no name recipe has been modified. Next, we're going to move on to the next recipe. It's going to say regular. Pay no attention to the name. We're just modifying the recipe based on our planograms due to the fact that our recipes did not pick up from our flash drive. So our next recipe is going to be regular. This is actually going to be based on our recipe guide. It's going to be Colombian and LTO small and double. So same process. We're going to hit modify. And we're going to start with the top batch, which is going to be our Colombian LTO single. So we're going to enter the brew ounces, which is going to be 109. We're going to decrease this to 109. Oop, too far. Once that's set to 109, we're going to move down to our second button, which is going to be our double batch. And our double batch for our Colombian LTO is 202 ounces. We're going to increase this to 202 ounces. Once that's set, we're going to make sure that our bottom recipe is shut off. So we're going to hit this until we get down to 0 or off. Once that's set, confirm that your recipes that are entered are correct, and then hit done. It's going to confirm that all 3 batches have been entered correctly. Yes, they have. Now we're going to move on to our bypass. Bypass for the Colombian single is going to be 15%. So we're just going to drop this down to 15, and then we're going to move to the next one. Our Colombian LTO double is set to 10% bypass. So we're just going to drop this down to 10. Bottom one's always going to be 0 since the brew ounces have been shut off. Once you confirm that both are correct, then you'll hit done. Confirm that all 3 batches are done and hit yes. Now we're going to install a pulse brew. So we see that our Colombian single, based on our hot coffee recipe, our Colombian single is the only one set to a pulse brew. So make sure that your top button for your Colombian single is selected, and then you're going to press brew C to enable. Next, you're going to hit manual, which is going to be our brew C button, and now we can enter our pulse brew times. First time on is going to be 40. Once that's been entered, hit done. Our off times are going to be 10. That's already set to 10, so we'll leave that. And then our last on is 5. That's already set to 5, so we'll leave that. All 3 batches have been done. If there has been more than 1 batch on this recipe that requires a pulse brew, you will hit no. Here it's just the 1 recipe, so we'll just leave it in yes. Next is our drip times. Based on our recipe guide, it shows that our single and double drip times are both at 2 minutes. So going with our single, we got double 2 minutes for our drip time. Oops. Double check the drip times, and then our double is set to 2 minutes as well. If they are correct, then hit done, and then confirm that all 3 batches have been done. Here, just hit done, confirm, done, done, confirm. Now that we modified our regular, we have 1 more recipe to install, and based on our planogram, it's going to be our decaf single and our decaf double. So it just moves to the next recipe, which is decaf, and we're going to modify this recipe as well. Beginning with the top recipe is going to be our decaf single. So that is going to be set to 109 ounces. So we'll drop this down to 109. All right, and then we'll move down to our double, and our double is set to 202. So we'll increase this to 202 ounces. Move on to the bottom one, and we're going to disable this bottom button by hitting the minus button until it says off. Too far. Off. Confirm that all 3 batches have been adjusted properly and hit done. Agree to that. Batches are done, and now we're going to install our bypass. For our bypass single, on our decaf single, it's going to be 5%. So we're going to drop this down to 5. And then our double is going to be 15%. So we will drop this down to 15. Bottom one's going to be set to 0 since that bottom button is off. Hit done. Confirm that all 3 batches are done. And look in your recipe guide to see if there's any flavors that have a pulse brew. And it shows that our decaf single is showing a pulse brew. So make sure your decaf single is selected, and then hit enable, and then hit brew. Now that we are into our settings, our first time on is going to be 40. Confirm that's correct. And then our off time is 10, already set to 10, and then our last time is 5 based on our recipe guide. hit done. Confirm that all 3 batches are done. If we had multiple recipes that had pulse brews, obviously we will hit no and then install the recipes for a pulse brew on that. But here we only have the one recipe that requires a pulse brew, so we're going to hit yes. Drip time is going to be 2 minutes for our single, so make sure our single is set, 2 minutes, correct, and then we're going to move to our double, and 2 minutes is our drip time for that as well too. So we're going to hit done, confirm that all 3 batches are done. Here we're going to hit done, yes, done, done, yes. Now that we have all 3 recipes installed for this brewer, we can install them properly to the brewer itself and assign the buttons. From here, you're going to hit this until we get to the end of everything. And then we can go to assign recipe. Hit the top button once you get into review recipes, and it's going to start assign button. Here you can select brew B, and this is going to ask you to assign your flavor to brew B. So our first flavor based on our planogram was farmhouse single and double, which was set to our no name. So we're going to hit brew A to get to our no name coffee and assign that to brew button A by hitting done. Next, we're going to assign our flavor to brew button B, which will be our Colombian LTO, which we had assigned to our regular button. From here, we're going to hit done, and now we're going to ask for brew C. Brew C was our decaf, so we're going to look for the decaf one that we modified, and then hit done. Now all 3 recipes have been assigned to each button and to each batch size. Once that has been all set, continue hitting the side button until you get back to the main menu, and you are all set.